Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. Thank you for coming. So we're just about to start with the first user group of the year. And today, or actually before that, for those that are new to Tableau and Tableau user groups, this is the London user group. We run about one of these every 6 weeks. So you can expect in 2020 to be about 10 to 12 of those. There's always a summer party, and there is always a Christmas quiz in December. So we are your hosts. So this is me. I work for Expedia. We have Paul Chapman. Unfortunately, he can't be here today. He works for JLL, but we have some representation from them here in the front. Laura, most of you have met. She was helping out, checking in earlier on downstairs. And we have Pablo, who's there at the back and helping us make this live stream into YouTube. And we also have Sarah, but again, unfortunately, she's unwell today and she can't be here. So for the first user group of 2020, we have a really good lineup. We have two really amazing speakers. The first one will be, actually, let's start from the bottom. So we'll have Stephanie Kozebek. Stephanie is an author, and a lot of you may recognize the name for a collaboration with Georgia Lupi at Data, but we'll get to that later on. So to start this evening, we'll have Neil Richards. So Neil Richards works for Group 1 and will tell you a little bit about that, but most importantly, he is the Knowledge Director for Data Society. For those that are not aware of Data Society, just wait a little bit longer and he'll tell you about that. I can tell you it's been an initiative that kind of changed the way that visualization communities are talking about visualization since it started about a year ago. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Neil Richards, and if you can give him a warm welcome as well. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, David. You actually described it really well there. You probably don't need me for the next 20 minutes. That's a really good, succinct definition. So anyway, I'm Neil Richards. I'm here to talk to you about the Data Visualization Society today. I've given this, oh, that looks like one of my visits. Do I turn it off and on again? Right, that's better. Okay, so before I talk about it, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself, because some of you will know me, a lot of you won't. I'm here talking at Tableau because Tableau is what I use. I was a Zen Master in 2018, I'm an ambassador now. So basically what that means is I use Tableau a lot, I talk about it a lot, I'm very keen, I like to promote what it can do, and I like to get involved in all the community initiatives. I have a blog. My blog is called questionsindataviz.com, and as you can see, I do weird stuff. I like some impactful things, I like some data art, I like colourful things, I like all sorts of things, and I like to blog about them afterwards. I'm also well known for sort of stealing ideas. This to you might look like 6 album covers. But to me, I turn them into 6 data visualizations. Had a lot of fun doing that. just really to sort of show what kind of design ideas you can get coming out of just any kind of interesting designs that you see. So if you're interested, I've done various talks on that before, and there's quite a lot of that on my blog. This is one of my latest ones. Again, sort of very me, but trying to be at least sort of semi-analytical here. This was for a project called Viz for Social Good, where I sort of tried to help a non-profit just find out all different obesity profiles in constituencies all over the country. I didn't know how useful it would be, but I had fun doing it. I got some inspiration from other people, and it turns out they used it, and well, I like to think they loved it. They might have been pointing at this big thing on the wall going, what on earth is this? But I like to imagine that my visualizations would look great on big screens with people pointing at them, and that gave me a nice feeling. This is probably the Viz I'm most proud of, and it's probably the least me Viz because it's a boring line chart, but it's going in a book. John Possebeck is, not John Possebeck, sorry, John Schwabish. I'm getting my Data Viz heroes muddled up there. John Schwabish has said he wants a good example of a line chart in his new book, and this was a line chart that I came up with. Typical me, I made some of it up. I'm not sure that these are the real reasons of some of the popularity of the name Neil, but I at least sometimes try to adhere to best practices and nice, clean, clear charts as well. So, back to the Data Visualization Society. I've really got to apologise. It's got a Z in, and it was invented by Americans. I was kind of outnumbered on that. If you just sort of, I was going to bring a big letter S and hold it in front. I'm glad I didn't because we've got 8 screens. But so, what is the Data Visualization Society? It's a lot of people. And it's all sorts of people. It might be people who are into coding, it might be front-end developers, you might be into design, I think that one's data science, or you might be a data artist. It doesn't matter. All sorts of people who use data visualization in any of these ways. And it's a community which has come from a lot of different communities. I didn't actually make these slides, but the people who made them know the Tableau user group. They're probably the biggest and best communities out there. But there's others. You might use D3, you might use GIS, you might use Power BI, I'm not sure what that means. But there are other data viz tools out there. So the reason I love the Data Visualization Society and wanted to get involved in it is because, I mean, you've probably seen from some of my earlier stuff that I've mentioned, I get a lot of influence from people outside of just the Tableau sphere. I get a lot of influence from people inside the Tableau sphere as well. If Sarah was here, I'd say that she did the Tableau viz so good that this middle-aged guy actually went and clicked to see who Stormzy was. There are some really talented people here. So I love to have the intersection of the Tableau community and the wider data viz community. So early days, where did it start off? It started in Tapestry last year. Tapestry is a sort of a small data viz conference which happens every year or two over in the US. And it started with Elijah Meeks, who gave a keynote speech, and he was really sort of interested in where data viz was going in the future. And he got together with a couple of other great data viz people there, Molly Petit and Amy Cecil. And between them, they said, well, we should have an industry society. We should have something that helps people when they join up. Something that so people know where to go and find out where all the resources are. So they sort of got together over a cup of coffee and a few beers. And so here we have what you now might recognize as a logo. And if you've seen all the stickers that I've given away, this is the Data Viz Society logo. Everybody who was a member got to answer on 3 different points, whether it was data or visualization or society. And this is a sort of amalgamation of the first thousands or so people who joined. And so here you see, you could sign up. So I think the green ones are all about data, the yellow ones are all about visualization, the purple all about society, and everybody had their own individual profile badge. And even to the point that it became shortlisted for the Information is Beautiful Awards. The design of the amalgamation of all these gave the sort of group identity. So, February 20th, which I think is only 11 months ago, this was announced by Elijah. He was interested to know how it would go. He thought maybe he'd have a few tens or 20s of people sign up. Within a few weeks, I think 2,500 people signed up. John Byrne Murdoch, data journalist on the Financial Times. I've just joined. Wow, some great sort of positive feedback there. And the next one, we then moved on. So those 3 people became 6. We pretty soon needed 6 people to organise it. We wanted a sort of early board. So Jason Forrest, Julia Krolik and Amanda McCulloch, all from the US, all joined to really help the initial stages of the society get going. And soon that wasn't enough. We moved the board on to 11 to try and make it a bit more global. There's a young, fresh-faced person here who doesn't... this is what 4 years of data viz does. But I joined, I think probably the main Tableau person on there. I really wanted to make sure that we had a bit more representation from around the world. And we have Kuhu and Sarah, who are both students, so just in the first year or 2 of their data viz career, and that we felt that was very important. And we have Amanda and Iris from Germany as well, who joined to make a committee of 11. So what were the goals of Data Viz Society? I'm going to let this one build. So we sort of split the goals into fostering community, consolidating resources, and professionalization of data visualization. So let's have some examples. Foster community. First one, sharing. You'll notice we have a big data visualization Slack community. It's probably what we're best known for. As soon as you sign up to join, you'll be invited onto Slack, and really anything goes on there. You can see just from this screenshot that we have all sorts of different channels that you can join. And again, just some feedback here. Alberto Cairo. Many of you will know who he is. He's written many data visualization books. He's one of the most sort of preeminent people there is. And he found out stuff that he didn't know that other people were tweeting in here that he found really useful. Critiques. So what we really want to be able to do is set up an area where if you've got something but you want some advice, and if you want somewhere safe to post that isn't as, I don't know, isn't as nasty as Reddit, or isn't as tricky as some other communities you might want to join, there's an area where you can just say, these are my goals, this is my audience, what do you think? And here's just some of the channels that you can have within the Data Visualization Society. So these ones all sort of connect different people, whether it's on your locations, so you've got Africa, APAC, places like that. Or whether it's on your demographics or your industry. So we've got journalism, LGBTQ, non-profit, all sorts of different ways where you can find your sub-community. And we have challenges. This, everyone loves a data viz challenge. Here are some examples of the first one we set, which was basically visualize the first, I think it was about 3,500 members. And so we've got all sorts of different entries there, gave us all sorts of different patterns and all sorts of different ways of visualizing. So next section about consolidating resources. So I may as well just show you here the, very simple, but the front page. So you can see we have different meetups, we have the events, we have details of awards, challenges, education, and books as well. And we have a jobs board. I don't know if anyone knew there was a sort of jobs board out in a Google Sheet somewhere that some people knew about. We've just tried to make that more visible, and we've taken that on within the Data Viz Society. So we haven't done anything new, but we've taken on that board, and we allow anybody to update this board with information. So what have we got in professionalisation? First one is Nightingale. So this is our Medium publication, named after Florence Nightingale, of course, who I didn't know until I joined data visualization, is not only a pioneer in the nursing industry, but also a pioneer in statistics and data visualization as well. So we're very proud to name our publication after her. But anybody within the DVS can submit an article and we will publish it, or our editors will have to publish it. And these are just a few of the most successful ones. Actually, I'll just go back to that. Does anyone remember the Sharpie Gate incident with that funny orange man there? That was all quite high profile at the time, and Alberto Cairo was very involved in the spread of that around the news. Topics in DataViz. Good timing on this one. We always have, from time to time, a discussion for about 2 weeks on the Slack channel. Someone will start a discussion. Here's one from Andy Kirk. What makes a data visualization elegant? So somebody will start up with perhaps a few of their ideas, and it can really foster an interesting discussion, which we then take all the details or all the responses after about 2 weeks, and we can curate that into a really interesting article as well. The current one, I think it might just have finished, I'm not sure it might still be going. Our own David Pires has started that, and there's a really interesting discussion going on about dashboarding. So if you're interested in that, you can find that on the Slack channel too. On the DataViz survey, Elijah Meeks, who set up DVS, he in the past for several years has always run a DataViz survey, and there's a lot of interesting questions there, all about demographics, about salary, but also about what tools you use, how much of your time do you really spend on visualization, and how much are you sort of crunching data, that kind of thing. So we really wanted to get some interesting figures across the industry and across the world. We had another challenge for people to visualize it. So while I'm talking here, you can see some really interesting results and findings and stories that people were able to bring out of that data for the first time. We're a non-profit. We're just working towards that in the US at the moment, and just so that everything becomes official. And with that non-profit, we have our board. So these are the same board of 11 people again. One thing that I think is particularly cool, and it wasn't done by design, but we're 8/11 female, which I think is really sort of quite refreshing. We'd love to get a bit more diversity, we'd love to get a bit more international. The board members change every 1 year for some posts and 2 years for some other posts, so that's something that we'll be looking to, but we've got some great female representation there. Although we have leveled it up a little bit with Caspian, who's our 12th member there. He's been promoted. He's the only one to have been promoted. He was the director of cuteness. He's now the director of joy. But we have an advisory council as well. So these guys sort of give us advice, and they act as judges on some of our competitions. They're always sort of there for us to turn to, and there are some amazing names within the DataViz fraternity right there. So, what have we got coming up in the pipeline? Discourse. This one sits with the knowledge director, which is me. So, what I need to do is get this out very soon. Now, one downside with Slack is we're a bit of a victim of our own popularity. For Slack to remain free, you can only have something like 10,000 messages on there. So we're looking to have another platform for some of the more important stuff that we want to keep permanent on Discourse. And this is something that we'll be launching in the next few weeks, I hope. We're going to start planning a conference. We have a new events director. Molly has moved to events director. I mean, we've got 10,000 people now. I think we might even have 11,000 people in the DataViz Society. So there's enough of an audience there that we think we can get a really good conference going. It's likely to be next year now, I think probably early 2021. So look out for that. We're going to engage early career members. We mentioned that Kuhu and Sarah are both early career members themselves, and they're going to put a lot of work into sort of trying to foster that element of the community in particular. Because I don't know about you, but when I started out in the career, we didn't really know where to look. I mean, you could sort of pile onto Twitter and go to your user groups if you're in Tableau, but there's a lot of people who don't necessarily know the best way to get started, particularly perhaps in the student world. We're going to try and get our mentorship program going. So that is as it seems really. If you're interested in trying to get either be a mentor or become a mentor, then look out for more news. And finally, we're putting a lot into education. We're really trying to get a data visualization curriculum, something that we can sort of globally set up and recommend that is used within schools and colleges for data visualization. So how can you get involved? Well, you can join. It's a simple thing. Go and click become a member. Within a few days, you'll get an invite onto the Slack channel, and obviously you can always have access to all the other things on the website as well. You can join a committee. Each of the directors has committees which report into them. So you can just help in the different elements. I think the education one is the biggest. We've got about 25, 30 people who all sort of help Iris set up the curriculum that we're trying to set up. And there's one or two others as well, such as a diversity committee, which don't sort of report up into any of them. We had a deadline a month or two ago, so we have plenty of people in committees now, but that's going to be a continual revolving invitation. And there's also a DVS Get Involved Slack channel as well, so you can find out more information there. And Nightingale, I mentioned, you can write for Nightingale. We have an editor, and he is actually the only person who gets paid by DVS. The rest of us are all volunteers, but because we have an arrangement with Medium, we have a little bit of a budget to enable us to pay an editor. And better than that, it means we can pay you $50. If you want to write an article for Nightingale, and I think we aim to get about 20 a month out, which is basically sort of one a workday. So there's a lot of scope that if there's anything you're interested in and you want us to promote it on Medium, why not put it forward, and you will also get $50 for it. I feel like where's the catch on that, honestly, that's such a good thing. You can become a partner, so we've partnered up with people like Mapbots for challenges, Tableau, the Encode, we were a partner for their conference as well. So sometimes there are conferences that go on that we can get discounted entry fees, for example, for Data Viz Society members. And finally, pick up swag. We've got a bit less swag than that now. This was the swag the first time that we did this tour. There are still some stickers out there, and if you're wondering what those star stickers were, you probably know a bit better now. So do pick them up and stick them where you like. And that's more or less it. I'm just going to sort of end with a few more sort of early feedback things. Some of the excitement around the start of Data Viz Society, some of the swag. Yes, you can go and pay for t-shirts and things like that. We've got Nadia Bramer putting one of our stickers on her laptop. That's about as cool as it gets. Somebody excited about their own individual Data Viz Society badge there. And, oh, what's that at the end? Me being retweeted by Alberto Cairo. I don't think he's talking about my Viz thing, it's arguing the best thing to have in the Data Viz world, but in my head he is. So thank you very much, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Any questions? Yeah, I guess not. Well, Neil, thank you very much. Oh, there's one there. Just a second.
I'll buy you a bit of time for other people to think of questions now.
I thought you were going to say you were going to buy me a beer then for a minute. I got excited.
There was a point at which you showed something to do with meetups, and I was interested in whether or not there are many, and you talked about conference potentially next year, any opportunities for people to meet in person. Is that a thing that happens within society? Could people create their own or join existing meetups in person?
Yes, you can. Certainly in some of the US cities, this is happening quite regularly. I think there's a New York City meetup sort of under the branding of the Data Viz Society, if you like. I think we're finding it happening informally as well. People are finding they're in different cities, and people, you know, from different database communities, they're able to just sort of get bigger meetups going together. So I don't think we have a sort of formal way of getting these different individual meetups going together, but I think it's something that can certainly be arranged more easily from within the community. Does that answer your question?
Would you be able to support industry-specific meetups that are aligned with your kind of goals and vision?
I'm not aware of plans for that, but again, that's something that we have some kind of industry-specific groups within the Slack, so you're able to sort of find your particular communities there. So in terms of supporting them, I'm not sure that's particularly part of the plan, but it depends what industry you're talking about.
Just to add to that, and I know it's not within the Database Society, but within Tableau user groups, there are industry specific. So for instance, Simon there leads the healthcare group, and I know there's a few around finance, retail. So if you want to take a look at some of the user groups for your particular industry, within Tableau, the Tableau user groups within the Tableau.com page, you should be able to see those.
Fantastic, thank you.
No worries. Okay. There's one question there, and then we'll break out for pizzas.
Is there competition between the softwares within the society? Are you repping Tableau?
Yes and no. There isn't actually any competition at all. One question we often get is, can we have a group for Power BI, or can we have a group for D3 or Tableau? And we deliberately try and be tool agnostic. So any competition we run, it doesn't matter. We're not promoting Tableau over anything else, and we're not promoting anything else over Tableau. I feel that all my experience in Tableau, and we look at the Tableau communities we've got, it would be mad if we didn't have at least one Tableau person on that board, and I would love to see more people go forward. But that's just because of Tableau's representation within data visualization. I think any competition is only friendly competition.
Well, thank you very much, Neil, once again.
Thank you.
And as I said, we'll take about a 15-minute break. There's pizzas outside, there's some drinks as well. And we'll be back by 7:30 so we can hear from Stephanie.